Week 8. It's the Halloween edition of the MBMFL matchup show. Let's kick the tires and light the fires, Big Daddy. JB, how are you, sir?
Doing great. Let's get into it. Ready to? We should have come dressed up, but maybe
Yeah, I
that's
was
for a
going to
little
ask
later.
you if you're wearing a costume. I am right now.
Are you really?
No.
I was gonna say.
I'm dressed up like a yuppie, ready to go hand out candy to
Oh,
kids and lure them to my door. Um, let's get right into it. Let's talk transactions.
yep.
Transaction Tracker.
Not a whole lot interesting this week. The Big
Nah,
Daddy
not too many big ones.
Yeah, the Big Daddy Warbucks Award of the Week goes to Burnt Toast, who spent $45 on Carlos Hyde, who now looks like is doubtful, and Chris Carson is questionable somehow. This guy, Chris Carson, feels like he keeps coming back from the dead. He picks up an injury, and it's like, oh shit, he's gone for 2 weeks, and then he plays. So, a bit of an insurance policy with Hyde, so I understand the big spend there.
Hmm.
But it is what it is. I don't know if many other people bid on Hyde, maybe a couple. Um,
Yeah.
I think
Smart, but
yeah, it's smart. It's nice to have insurance policy on your RB1.
hmm
Sterling Shepard to the Luchinator. Sterling Shepard, he just feels like a Luchinator guy. I think he's on his team every year. Luch is just a creature of habit, and he picks up Shepard, and he's going to spot start him against me this week, which I think is a pretty good start actually, as his team is dealing with some injuries and some bye weeks. Um, I'm People may notice I picked up Carson Wentz for $7 to start him during Kyler Murray's absence. You may remember that Carson Wentz was my quarterback last season.
hmm
He did not make it into the fantasy sports legend Ring of Honor with his performance last season. So I'm hoping he can give me a little reach around payback for fucking me last year. So we'll see how that goes.
I mean, it looks good against the struggling Dallas team, and they just got rid of Everson Griffin, so they don't have much edge rushing. And even though maybe Randy Gregory's back or something, but I don't know, that should be a complete destruction of a game where I think the Eagles win that easily. So probably a good week to pick them up just playing the matchup.
I want to do something for the first time ever in the history of Transaction Tracker. JB, do you trust me?
Yes.
All right. I want you to click on the Players tab.
Players, okay.
Okay. Now I want you to scroll down until you see Jimmy Garoppolo.
Jimmy
Got him?
G. Yep.
71.28 points. I want you to click that plus sign near his name. And then I want you to drop Gardner Minshew, pick up Jimmy Garoppolo, because Minshew's A's on bye. B, he might not even be the starter when he comes back. And looking at matchups, Drew Brees is at Chicago this week, Jimmy Garoppolo at Seattle. I'm not saying you have to start him, but give yourself an option here and put Jimmy Garoppolo on your team right now.
Added.
All right, that was fun. Okay.
Um, no, I think that's right. I mean Jimmy G. I've just or not Jimmy G. Breeze. I've just kind of kept riding with him. He's actually been really good the last few weeks, but against Chicago, that train's going to fall off again. Thomas being out again. I keep kind of hoping for that stack to just pay off for 1 week at least, and
It's
I
never
don't think
going
it'll
to.
ever happen. So
The first
no, I
week of
like
the playoffs, they're going to go for 50 each, like
right.
week 14, after every Michael Thomas owner is sitting at home playing DFS because they're out of their seasonal leagues. But yeah, listen, Garoppolo's got a good matchup. I know Breeze has been good, but that at Chicago shit, Breeze outside, cold weather, no Michael Thomas. I don't know. That feels like a absolute avoid spot to me.
Yeah, agreed.
All right, let's get to the matchups in week 8.
Weekly picks.
Yep, let's do it.
All right, starting at the top, 7-0 fantasy sports legend taking on the 4-3 Luchinators. We already had a little live ammo flying in this matchup on Thursday night. Really sort of a kiss your sister situation. He had Gurley, I had Mike Davis. Gurley, he got bailed out by that late touchdown, or he was on his way to a 3-point afternoon.
Yeah.
Miguel Davis in his final swan song before he inevitably turns back into a pumpkin. The last 3 games for him, he kind of came out gangbusters, and then he really slowed down. His last 3 weeks are 12, 8, and 8. He stopped catching
Interesting.
passes, which is what his real value was. Is he was catching 5, 6 balls a game, it felt like, and that went away. But listen, Mike Davis, I love you. You did your job. You got me to 7-0, so no complaints there.
Yeah, I mean, I would say that's a win for Luch with Gurley putting up 10 with that cheapy touchdown, outscoring Davis. I would think Davis would have been on pace for maybe 20 or something like that against Atlanta.
Yeah,
So
at
I think
home.
I think he definitely won that. But obviously, you have the better team, so I think you'll probably still stick it out this week. I'm going to stick with FSL, even though I think I bet against you last week, and Luch has kind of been my horse, but I think you get it done this week. I just like your matchups a little bit better going versus what he has. So
Yeah, I mean,
FSL gets it done.
to me, this matchup comes down to one thing, and it's the Minnesota Green Bay game. He has Kirk Cousins, Justin Jefferson, and Dalvin Cook.
Mm-hmm.
Jefferson and Cook, easily his two best players. The good news for me is there's only one football, so they both can't score at the same time. At Green Bay, I mean, Green Bay could kick their ass, but it also could be a shootout. So
Yeah.
if that game's 34-31, I'm very scared of Luch because he has Cousins also.
Mm-hmm.
Hoping it's windy as hell and it's a low scoring game, but I think it comes down to that. And if those guys don't go off, he's got no chance against me, I think.
Right.
Wentz against Dallas, Wentz, even on the crappy Eagles team, he's been pretty good 22, 21, 15, 23, 25.
Mm-hmm.
Um, he's been running a lot. And, news just came out today that Gilmore for the Patriots is out, which, Diggs was in a pretty bad spot if Gilmore was going to shadow him. So that, brings Diggs back into the, exciting matchup category. My matchups, Keenan Allen at Denver. At Denver is just never great. It's always hard to score against those Broncos at home for whatever reason. But Kittle at Seattle could be a smash matchup if they're trailing for most of that game. Edwards-Helaire against the Jets, they should be able to do whatever the fuck they want to them. Although you could see, a Le'Veon Bell revenge game, and they give him a lot of touches against the Jets. So
Yeah, it's agree. It's one of those things where it's like almost too good, where you could easily see if he doesn't get the first two touchdowns or something, it's like maybe does Lev Bell come in if it's a blowout.
yeah,
But a good thing is, I think what's good for you is Sunday you're watching the games and you see that at halftime it's 7-6 in the Minnesota Green Bay game, and you're just like, all right, that's probably a win. Like if that is
right.
windy in Green Bay, and it's just like kind of a shit show or a blowout or whatever the case, it's just like, all right, sweet,
Yep. On 8 now.
right. And then, I mean, you hope it's not a blowout because you could easily see that just Cousins just slinging it around for two cheapy touchdowns or something. But I don't know. You could very well see that game being like 14-9 Green Bay or 17-9 Green Bay in shitty weather. And it's just like, all right, that's
That'd be
probably a dub
fantastic.
for you.
I would like just to mention, I do realize I do not have a kicker in. Waiting for some Sunday morning updates on some of my bench players before I decide who to drop. But J.K. Dobbins looks like he will be getting his first ever start for the Fantasy Sports Legend with Mark Ingram out. It's against Pittsburgh, so not too excited, but a new face to, maybe he goes off and someone I can get excited about. But I'm going to take myself here with the caveat of it all comes down to the Vikings.
Yep.
Okay. Let's go to the Buffaloes. The 6-1 Buffaloes currently sitting second place in the league.
Yep.
Against the 3-4 Burnt Toast, who, he's just hasn't been able to put it all together this year. I think he had a really good week last week, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
Kipper, he's got the Bills stack with Allen, Beasley, and Brown going. If that's me, I'm not sure I'm starting John Brown. He's just. I think he's one of those situations with this calf and knee injury that prove it to me before I start you. What do you think?
Right. Agreed. I think I was actually going to say one of the transactions, him adding Scotty Miller, could be a sneaky add. He seems like he's kind of one of developing into one of TB12's kind of go-to guys. You have Godwin out this week. I believe he's not playing. So you have Scotty Miller. Brady always loves always loves one of those little white receivers. Maybe he's turning into like an Edelman or an Amendola or something along those lines. And so I don't know. I think Scotty Miller's a good pickup. If I were to guess, maybe he would be going in that flex spot.
Yeah, I could see that. Aaron Rodgers in a smash spot. We just talked about Green Bay, Minnesota. Minnesota's defense has been terrible. So I think, this matchup could come down to Rodgers versus Allen. Two quarterbacks that have shown they have the ability to go for 30 or 40 points. And Josh Allen has never played very well against the Patriots in his career. Even the games we almost won, it wasn't exactly lighting it up on the stat sheet. So advantage Rodgers there, and I think advantage burnt toast. I think the Chris Carson, Carlos Hyde thing is a little weird, but at this point, Zeke Elliott is like, what even is he right now?
Yeah, that's the. I don't know. He's been so frustrating. I bet on the Cowboys the last few weeks and
I
watching
did
Zeke.
too. Oh my
He's been
God.
so freaking bad. He's one of those guys that rubs me as when he's out of it and just like he's just disinterested, and you can just tell, just like he's dropping easy passes.
He has like
Fumble.
6 fumbles lost this year, some crazy stat.
Right. He just looks like it's just like, and he rubs me as that type of guy, whether that's fair or not. It just rubs me as a guy that's just like, hey, our team sucks, so like whatever. I'm just gonna go through the motions. And
I mean, if we hold an auction again today, how much does Zeke go for?
I don't know, maybe
Like
40
55,
something.
50,
Yeah,
yeah,
I mean, I
48,
guess you have to give him a
55.
little, but
Yeah, because he's still like a bell cow and he still will
right.
score touchdowns. But geez, everyone with Dallas assets this year is just crying in their hands because it's fucking ugly for all these guys.
It is. I will say, Gio Bernard, I was shocked at his picture. Maybe the worst mustache of all time.
Oh my God. Yeah, he looks like a 50-year-old man. Wow, you had 20 points last week. Yeah, so I'm gonna go with burnt toast. I think, maybe a bit of an upset here. I worry about Kipper's Bills stacks against New England, who's just had their number.
Right. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go Buffaloes. No one circles the wagons like the Buffaloes, with the caveat of I'd like to see Scotty Miller in there for Brown. I think Beasley and Allen have a good connection. Brown coming off of a little bit of an injury, and I think I even like Scotty Allen as kind of a sneaky DFS play this week, where I think he could be pretty solid. Maybe catch a touchdown for TB12. They've been putting up good numbers, so I think he should switch Scotty Miller in there for him, and then I like the lows to roll over toast.
Fair enough. Let's move to the next one here. Big Daddy AE at 3-4, coming off a win in the D Baptiste Derby against the Fat Cat, keeping his season afloat against the hard luck hard hitters that sit at 4-3, but lead the league in points. And I mean, you look at the points scored against the hard hitters this year. Let me just pull it up because it's a huge number. He's had 1,018 points scored against him this year through 7 weeks.
Wow.
Which is by far the most in the league. So he's really gotten boned, and he caught some more hard luck on Thursday night with Calvin Ridley leaving the game in the first half. Picks up a foot injury, foot injuries are just never good. They never heal fast.
Yeah, that was rough.
Probably expecting to have Ridley out for at least the next couple of weeks. We'll see how that goes. The rest of his team's still really good. David Montgomery stinks, but Kamara, Thielen, and Kupp, those are his rocks.
Yep.
Going against the Big Daddy AE with the fearsome Russell Wilson, Tyler Lockett stack in play. T. Higgins upgraded to wide receiver 1 and out of the flex spot, so it's a nice upgrade on the team. Derrick Henry at Cincy, that's a really interesting spot. Henderson at Miami, that's a good spot. DeAndre Swift is now looking like he has earned a role in the backfield for AE, coming off, quietly, DeAndre Swift has 1 game in the single digits so far in 2020. I bet that's a stat that not a lot of people would realize.
Wow.
And, out of all these rookie running backs, Jonathan Taylor, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, and then like J.K. Dobbins, Cam Akers, Swift was really one of the big 5 of these rookie running backs. And you could argue he's outperformed his draft position more than anyone else.
Right. I know it feels like he's still not living down that week 1 drop where it's just like, so everyone's thinking like, oh, is he like struggling because of that? And then you look at, like you said, look at his stats, and it's like he had 1 clunker of a game against Arizona, but other than that, he's been putting up serious numbers. So I like that. I mean, I always say, I think having a running back, a good running back flex is such a big key. It's like when you can see that, it's like, because you just know he's getting 14 points. He's getting carries. He's getting catches. It's not like, you can see what happened even with Ridley. Unfortunately, he got out, but getting 7 points, it's like that, you would think that's an easy 15 there. And, he's projected 17. Obviously, he got hurt. He maybe would have caught a touchdown or something, but it's just like having that running back is big, and only getting 7 from Ridley. I think Big Daddy AE rolls over the hitters this week. Probably again another heartbreak for JN having Ridley go down, and then I think BDAE is going to put up a big number this week. I'm going over 140 this week for BDAE. I think he surpasses the 140 mark. Hate to jinx him. Don't want the announcer jinx on my conscience, but that's just what I think looking at his team.
Yeah, don't let AE get hot. He might reel off a couple wins here. And asking you a question: if you're JN, you starting the red hot, pock-faced Justin Herbert coming off a 40-point game, or are you starting Derek Carr at Cleveland? Herbert plays at Denver, so both not great matchups, but that's an interesting conundrum he finds himself in.
Right. That is tough because you could see that Cleveland game being a bit of a shootout. It seems like even though Cleveland's D is tough, I feel like they get into some shootout situations where Baker's just slinging it all over the field. Some of that is just because Baker throwing picks sometimes, but and then you could see that Herbert game being a bit of a shootout possibly. But I don't know. I think I probably roll Carr. I think I roll Carr against Cleveland, and
Carr feels safer.
Yeah, he does. Herbert. Watching him last week.
There's some juice there with Herbert, man. Jeez. He's, 24, 22, 29, 25, 30, 38. Like, wow, he's been awesome.
He does look good, and he has that Keenan Allen connection where they seem to be connecting, and Keenan Allen's just a stud. Like, he just catches everything. He kind of reminds me of like kind of the DeAndre Hopkins, where if he drops a ball, it's like, wait a second. Like,
right.
He's unbelievable.
He's so good.
And they seem to be on the right page, so
I think with Herbert too, underrated thing about him is he's got a rushing floor. This guy, he
does.
I mean, he has a lot of rushing yards. So I don't know. If I'm Nigro here, I'm starting Herbert, and I'll tell you the biggest thing in this matchup is Alvin Kamara at Chicago. I like the Bears outright. I like the Bears +4. I think it might be my best bet of the day. The Saints aren't that good, and Vegas keeps giving them so much freaking respect, and I'm going to fade them this week. And I think this could be a tough spot for Kamara. So I will also take Big Daddy AE and find both teams sitting at 4-4 after a really tough matchup.
Wow.
All right.
That's crazy. They're 4-4. They're good teams.
They could be 4-4. He's got to win first. But
right.
All right, moving on to the Jippy Jones on a 1-game win streak, taking on the Doves at 1-6. Things are getting dark in Baltimore for Mr. Rhodes. This is another big toilet bowl game. This is, you could really improve your odds of not eating the death chip here if you can somehow find a way to get a win. You had to, kind of eat a 20 spot from Julio, which, really is his only, severe threat. But, Hayden Hurst, solid pickup, 10 points, and Young Ho Koo was just bombing him in from everywhere. So, you pretty much tied him. Yahoo has you at a pretty big disadvantage, but I don't know. What do you think? Confidence level 0 to 10.
Probably like a 6. I mean, like you said, the Le'Veon situation that he could kind of get a lot of.
He's going to score a touchdown. You just know they're going to give him a touchdown against the Jets.
Right. And then Smith-Schuster and Roethlisberger stack kind of scares me again. That's against Baltimore, so I'm sitting well there. I don't know. Maybe P. Ryan can. Last week he was getting a little wop.
He looked good. He looked pretty good.
He did look good.
I think Gore's out, right?
About it. Maybe Gabe did. I believe so. I think P. Ryan's he's the lead guy there, and he looked good. Like against the Bills D, which is kind of stinky, but their D line played pretty well, and he still had some nice runs. Gabe Davis again, just being how bad my team is, I just have like a touchdown hawk. Like hopefully he can just grab a sneaky touchdown and
like
get
130-yard touchdown.
Right. So
he's really come off the boil a little bit early in the season.
Yeah,
I think people were really excited. Like, oh man, this Bills vertical offense, they're torching people. Gabe Davis is a big part of it. And since they've had a little bit of a regression, it seems like teams have figured them out a little bit, how to slow them down through the air. And Davis has just become a borderline afterthought. I don't know. I think you may want to drop him and start Tim Patrick.
Yeah. I just picked up Patrick this morning, actually. So I'm thinking about that. So that's something I haven't really given too much thought to just because I just added him. But yeah, I especially with John Brown back. I mean, maybe that even helps Gabe Davis because as a number 3 as opposed to number 4, maybe that even helps him. But
right.
I don't know. I think Tim Patrick's actually been pretty good. And again, hopefully that's a shootout somewhat. And he's kind of been like the Fulgham of Denver, I feel like, kind of out of nowhere, and he catches a decent amount of passes and has some good weeks. So maybe not as much of a world beater as Fulgham's been for
He
the
just has a
Birds.
weird name for a wide receiver. Tim Patrick
Yeah,
sounds like
Tim Patrick.
he sounds like an accountant from Cincinnati, not a wide receiver in the NFL.
Right.
Um, I don't know. This is a tough call here. I think I'm going to go Doves. I think, Baltimore, Pittsburgh, that's the big question. But I do think Lev Bell is going to return some value this week. Bobby Woods is another good player. I just think he has a little higher quality of players on his team. But, if you put in Patrick and you put in Garoppolo, I think it gets closer.
Right. I think I'm going to go Jimmy G. I think I'm going to go Patrick. And I think this is the week Zach Moss actually sneaks in for a touchdown. I think I'm going to get 25 plus from the RBs. I think they're both going to get around 12, 13. So I'm actually going Jimmy Johns this week. I think this is the first week I've taken me. I'm going Jimmy Johns, rolling over the Doves, and 2-6, distancing myself from that hot shit.
I love it. All right. On to next matchup, the other feline-based mascot, the Clifford's Cool Cats, against the Teflon Don, who's now looking like he may not win a game. I think when I looked at this matchup, a couple things stood out to me. One, A-Rob playing is big because, the injury bug has really hit Pender, and he also loses DeAndre Hopkins on a bye. So a big break to get Robinson in there when it didn't look like it was going to happen. And look at that projection on Patrick Mahomes. I don't know if I've ever seen anything like that.
Wow, 37.
How do you project someone at 37 points? I mean, this is a classic example of a matchup that is so good it's bad. It's like he might not even play in the second half, and they're not. I don't know. I'd be surprised if he clips 30. I just don't know if there'll be enough volume. So I think that the projections here are a little off. Obviously Joe Mixon's not in there, so and he has a pretty capable bench with guys like Lat Murray, Marvin Jones, guys who score points. So I don't know. I wanted to pick the upset here, but I don't think I see it. I think the Cats have too much firepower.
Yeah, I think the Cats are too good. I'm going with the Cool Cats as well. Even though it's a shame because actually when I look at it sucks when looking at Teflon's team when it's just like there is some talent there. Like Josh Jacobs, Boston Scott. Obviously, he's only there for
another week.
For one more week, but Debo being out, like he has some guys. He's been bit by the injury bug. CeeDee Lamb, it sucks that he just has, he has DiNucci thrown to him this week. Like he's been nowhere.
How many guys Latif has on his IR?
Yeah, that is
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Whoa, that's not good.
Saquon, you have to feel bad for him at that point, but it just. And then he had Boston Scott go off against me last week. I mean, that's usually a kill shot if someone scores 20 plus against me. And somehow my team did really well. So I'm just.
All right, so you're taking the Cats too?
Yeah.
All right. We're on the same side there. Let's go to the Fat Cat versus Tony Horton, 2-5 versus 4-3. Fat Cat, loser of the D-Baptiste Derby, and it was not remotely close. Tony Horton coming off a loss to me, in which it looked pretty close until I think it was Sunday Night Football happened, and Kyler Murray scored 1,000,000 points, and forget who his guy was, but he didn't do anything. Metcalf, right.
Almost had that big touchdown that got called back.
Yeah, he did.
But I don't think it would have made a difference.
No, at that point it was over. But, Fat Cat coming into this matchup as the underdog, but already gets a nice little W with Bridgewater. In a matchup that looked amazing against Atlanta at home on a short week, and he comes up pretty small with 12 points and almost got knocked out of that game. Horton again with Aaron Jones missing another week. That's tough with the injury bug, but he still has a pretty good team. And you know what? Watching Fournette last week, the guy had 60% of the carries on the Bucs. So
right,
Horton is a tough out, and Zacky's got a chance this week. The matchups for Horton are really good. I don't see anything scary. The matchups for the Fat Cat also pretty good. I don't know. This one's close. I think I'm picking Horton, just better players. Fat Cat just doesn't have a star. I think we say this like every year. He never has like an elite player.
Right.
It's hard to come back from that against a team with a couple of them.
Yeah, it's tough. I want to roll Fat Cat. He's only the .03 point underdog. Evans has really been so bad these last 2 weeks. He started out pretty well, had 4 weeks over like 15 points basically, and then goes 2, goes 5. Having Godwin out maybe helps him. Maybe he gets a little bit more of a look. Um, but I just think Horton's rolling, especially even with that Bridgewater 12-point game. I think Tyreek Hill's going to have a good game against the Jets, obviously. Metcalf's been a stud. Hunt, that could be, like I said, a little bit of a shootout in Vegas. So Waller, I just think like you said, he has too many stars. So I'm rolling Horton. I think he gets the fifth dub.
Yeah, I'm going to take Horton too. I think he gets a bounce back after taking an L. All right, last matchup of the week, and it is the 4-3 Toon Squad led by the young Jared Rhodes against the 5-2 Tie Man's All Stars. He's doing all this with Christian McCaffrey on the IR, so it's something to take note of after he knocked off the Cool Cats in a big upset last week. His team is kind of scrappy, but he's got a lot of depth, and this week he's without James Robinson. Chase Edmonds could be an absolute difference maker down the stretch here. Miles Sanders is still hurt, and with all that, he's still got a pretty good team. What do you think in this matchup?
Yeah, I mean, Ty Man has a great team, and once he gets Sanders and McCaffrey back, that's going to be really scary. Fulgham keeps putting up good numbers. AJ Brown looks to be a top receiver, a bona fide top receiver now. Hawkinson and Parker's decent here and there. We'll see what happens with Tua. Who knows? Maybe Tua likes going to him more and finds a safety blanket and gets a little bit of an uptick. So if you're Ty Man, you have to like that quarterback change. It's like either nothing happens, maybe he goes a little down, or maybe he gets a big bump. So no, Ty Man has a good team. I like I always love a good stack. I like the Tannehill Brown stack in Cincinnati. Think that can be a pretty high scoring game with Burrow slinging it around. So obviously Adams has been a world beater. He looks like he could get 35 every damn week.
I know, he's terrifying to play against.
Right. Especially going against Minnesota. So I actually like Toon Squad this week with Jackson.
Jackson against Pittsburgh, though. That's the only fly in the ointment for me. Or I was going to pick him. And if there's ever a week you want to play Lamar Jackson, it's against the best run defense in the NFL. I'm torn here. I think I'm going to go with Toon Squad. I just think Lamar Jackson and Devontae Adams is so much firepower that you have to dodge two massive bullets because those guys, Jackson, I will say, he's not been very good at throwing the football this year. The guy, he only has 1,100 yards through 7 games.
Wow.
6 games.
He's really where I feel like a lot of people have said people have kind of figured him out a little bit. Like Mahomes, you can tell he's just all there, but you could see Jackson where it's there's maybe some chinks in his armor a little bit. He's still a stud, but maybe you could see it kind of have some hiccups.
All right. Well, I'm going to take the Ty Man's All-Stars here.
For the lead pipe lock?
Or no, just in the matchup.
Yeah.
You taking Toon Squad?
I'm going to roll Toon Squad.
All right. Well, let's get to the aforementioned lead pipe lock of the week.
The lead pipe locks of the week.
All right. I went first last week, so you're going to go first this week. Who you got?
This week, I'm actually going to go with Big Daddy AE. Like I said I liked him to put up 140 plus. Again, it's tough taking a lead pipe lock when you have a team as good as the hard hitters, but I just like Big Daddy AE's team this week. I think Henry's going to return to form and put up big numbers. The Wilson Lockett, I think that could be a shootout in San Francisco, hopefully with my recent Jimmy G addition. No, but I like it. DeAndre Swift's been a stud. He's a great flex. So I'm going Big Daddy AE as my lead pipe lock.
All right. I am going to go with burnt toast over the Buffaloes. I think the Bills stack, I am worried about this week in fantasy. I think the weather's going to be terrible. Bill Belichick just finds a way to fuck with Josh Allen. I think this could be a down week for the Bills. I think we still have a really good chance to win this game, but I don't think it's going to be particularly pretty. Zeke at Philly with Ben DiNucci starting. I mean, that could be a single-digit performance. Deontay Johnson at Baltimore. The matchups just kind of stink. And Kelsey at the Jets, another one. It's like so good it's bad. I think the Buffaloes could struggle this week, and I like burnt toast to knock off the 6-1 Buffaloes as my lead pipe lock of the week.
I like it. Yeah, you're right. I mean, the Zeke is a big thing. Having him at 17 points, I mean, he could have 6. And
Yeah,
like I said, if you put Scotty Miller in, I think I like that a little bit better, depending on what he does. But yeah, I think if this is a week that the Buffaloes go down, you could very easily see. Hopefully, the Bills get the dub, but you could easily see that being a 9-7 game, 9-6
right.
game,
It's
where
gonna
like
be ugly.
yeah, where they just Belichick shuts Allen down and the Bills defense because they have nothing going, or the Pats offense because they have nothing going for them. The Bills D rolls on them, and it could just be an ugly one. So if that's the case, if you have Josh Allen, Beasley, and Brown, and they struggle, that could be ugly. That could be everyone scoring under 20
Yeah.
total. So yeah, I think if there's one week when a big dog like the Lows go down, it's this week.
All right. Well, that's it for the Week 8 MBMFL matchup show. Let's win some money. Let's stay healthy, and let's have some fun. Everyone have a nice Halloween. JB, always pleasure speaking with you, sir.
Always a pleasure. We'll talk to you next week.
All right. Commissioner out.
All right, peace.